Before you go on an interview, you research your employer. Before you meet your friends or kids' new date, you do research. Before you buy a new phone, TV, or computer, you do research. So why aren't you doing research before meeting with a legislator? I don't know, but stick around to see why it's important and how to do it effectively. Hi everyone, I'm David Smith, and I run and thrive Advocacy Solutions, your solution for lobbying and advocacy. Before launching this firm, I was leading advocates in Virginia, and we brought real changes to our criminal justice system. Also worked for Delegate Kay Corey, where I ran her commerce and energy docket. Now, I'm bringing what I've learned through mentors and hard knocks to you. Welcome to Better Advocacy in 10 Minutes or Less. Ooh, I like that one too. A series of videos helping you become a better advocate so you can turn your passion into policy. Today, we're going back to school to learn the why and how to research legislators. Now, let's be honest. Most of us make a one-pager, more on that next week, and give the same one to all legislators. Maybe you have two, one for Democrats and one for Republicans. The most research we usually do is talking points for the different political parties. But why don't we do more? Is it worth it? Let me tell you a story. My first time advocating for a bill, I didn't know what I was doing. I saw that a delegate was introducing a bill that I was passionate about, and I wanted to help. I called his office and set up a meeting. Now, it was not on a payphone. It was not that long ago. I told him how his bill would solve a problem that had impacted me, and I offered to help. He asked me to go around and gather co-patrons, basically asking other people to sign onto his bill, other legislators. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I needed to know who I was talking to. So I looked up each legislator on my list. I figured out what we had in common, and I also figured out what talking points would work best for making the ask. I wrote all this down on a separate cheat sheet for each delegate and went door to door in the General Assembly building. I didn't know about making appointments or even giving a one-pager back then. And I met with delegates and their staff. Once again, this is not a picture of me, but of another group meeting with a delegate here in Virginia. Armed with my newfound knowledge, I was able to create authentic connections and speak in ways that resonated with them. In fact, I was able to gather a bipartisan group of legislators as co-patrons, and it passed in the House 82-8. Now, unfortunately, he didn't ask me to do anything in the Senate, and it died without a hearing there. But that does show the power of research. When you know who you're talking to and why your issue should be important to them, you can cross partisan divides and create winning coalitions. But how do you do research? Usually when I do research, it's on travel or buying stuff on Amazon. I'm looking at Reddit and blogs, and I'm reading reviews and figuring out how I want to spend my money. Now, here it's a little different. We're not trying to figure out who is the 5-star rated politician. Instead, we're researching to find out how to connect with that politician and how your policy connects with them. All right, what are you trying to find out so you can connect with a politician? You want to know, who are they? You're looking for things like their hometown, their school, or maybe their faith practice. You're looking at, what do they do? What activities do they like to do? What do they like to talk about on social media? Remember, here you're looking for personal connections, things you might talk about over lunch with friends. Now, there's also research to connect your policy with the politician. Are there obvious connections? Did you find an editorial they penned or a speech they gave that matches your policy? You can say, I saw you speak about X, or I saw your editorial about Y, and this bill is a solution to that problem. Maybe they introduced a similar bill in the past. You could say, It was great that you patroned X. I thought you might be interested in this similar bill. Are there tangential connections? Look for themes in their bills. If you look at enough of them, you might begin to see what their major interests are and how that can align with yours. Are there organizations active in their district that you can connect with? Have they voted for similar legislation in the past? All right, now that you know what you're looking for, how do you find it? There are three main sources: websites, social media, and the press. Look at the politician's personal website first. There's a wealth of info. Read their bio, find out what they're interested in and where they grew up. These are all great ways to connect. Then see what their platform is. If there's nothing that jumps out at you, check their local and state party websites. Even if they don't emphasize a plank of the party platform on their site, they'll likely support it if the party does. Then you can check out their social media. Now, this can be a giant rabbit hole of retweets and posts, but stay focused. First, limit yourself to their original content, not the stuff they're retweeting or reposting. A lot of reposts are done simply because a party official or supporter has requested it, and not that the elected official has a strong connection to it. But if they're actually creating original content, then you know it's an authentic reflection of who they are, or at least how they want to be seen. Do a Google News search for their name. See what they've spoken publicly about. Also, check out their local paper. Not the big state papers, but the local one to their region. Even as the number and frequency of papers continues to shrink, they still hold a prominent place in political spheres. See if they've written an op-ed or if there are any editorials or op-eds that relate to your topic. A few caveats. Don't go digging up something so obscure, like, I saw this Facebook post from you 5 years ago, or I saw in your high school yearbook that we both ran track. Let's be honest, that's kind of stalker creepy and it will raise red flags. Also, you're not trying to force a connection. This should be natural. Everything you're presenting should make sense and should flow. If it's too tangential or forced, you'll confuse them and they'll be less attentive to your actual ask. Okay, so now that you have this information, how do you use it? First, organize your thoughts. Icebreakers, connection builders, and policy connections. If you found something non-political that connects you, start with that. This is that small talk that builds connections and forms relationships, just like in real life. Don't stress about this, just share. It's a great way to ease into the conversation if you're nervous. Then transition into your policy points and ask. If you found a policy connection, start with that, then build on it to get to your policy ask. Now, this might not sound natural as I'm explaining it, but think about conversations you've had, from someone you're interested in dating to a new neighbor. You look for what you have in common and build from there, right? That person likes the same music as you, or they have a flower in their garden that fascinates you. It's the same thing when you talk with a politician. Oh, and did you know that most politicians love to talk? If you're nervous, they'll likely be willing to carry the conversation while you get comfortable. Heck, tell them you're nervous. If you're nervous, it'll probably make both of you chuckle and ease your worries, and even make it easier to transition to what you learned in your research. So when you do your research, you create opportunities to form bonds that build relationships that help to turn your passion into policy. Now, you all might not become best buddies like these two pups, but that connection is what creates the opportunity for your policy to move forward. Thank you so much for watching this short training on the why and how to research legislators. Like and subscribe to the InThrive Advocacy channel to get notifications of new videos. And be sure to check back every Friday for a new Better Advocacy in 10 minutes or less. video.